Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. We're here with Ross Ramsey, Harvey Kronberg, and Gromer Jeffers Jr., and I want to jump right into it. I titled this sort of a bang or a whimper after this election, and I think a lot of things, I've talked to probably all of you at one point or another, and we've said, if you had asked how this race was going to look a year and a half ago, it looked very different, I think, than the terrain then. So as the freshman, we'll start with you, Gromer. Bang or a whimper? Where was the bang and where was the whimper, and how this all turned out?
The bang was with the number of Republicans turning out at the polls. I think 1.5 million, if I'm correct, in the primary. That's extraordinary. Of course, the whimper was Kay Bailey Hutchison's performance, which is really strange because a year ago, if you would have told Harvey that Kay Bailey, that you would have 1 million, not 1.5 million, but 1 million voters, you would say, right, that Kay Bailey, exactly, that Kay Bailey Hutchison would win going away. But she lost with not only 1.5 million voters there, but splitting, having the conservative vote, the right vote split by Medina, Deborah Medina, and Rick Perry, and she still couldn't even force it into a runoff. That's very extraordinary to me.
Now, I realize that asking Gromer that first was sort of like asking Medina the tax question, but still. Harvey?
Well, we got to see political malpractice at its best. I've never seen a political campaign, statewide political campaign, with millions of dollars at stake, with the first TV spot as an apology. An apology for deciding, for being ambivalent about whether she was going to resign or not. She had a 45-point swing from December of 2009 to November of 2010. She was plagued by a sense of entitlement. By the time she got engaged in Texas, all the Texas consulting talent was gone, so she was left, she became a parody of Washington politics parachuting into Texas. They were clueless about the nuances of Republican Party politics. And we shouldn't take away from Governor Perry's campaign, which for all practical purposes was flawless and also innovative. Gromer was the first to pick up on the fact that they didn't print any yard signs. They did it all by social networking. Their Get Out the Vote effort was taking Obama and putting him on steroids in terms of building an organization. And then the last thing I'll just say is that the Tea Party, I don't believe that the Tea Party thing had much to do with Perry versus Hutchison. I think the Tea Party thing was a hugely overrated, and the best tell is you look at the congressional races, with one exception, where there were Tea Party candidates running against people actually from Washington. The incumbent scored over 70 points. That one exception was Ralph Hall in his district. I think it was 56 points. But the Tea Party thing never materialized as a real vehicle.
Ditto. The trailer was better than the movie. We walked into this thing 18 months ago. Everybody was saying, this may be the best primary race in Texas since Jim Maddox and Ann Richards in 1990. And Hutchison never brought a game. There was never a rationale other than, are you tired of Rick Perry, to vote for her. It turned out that people weren't tired of Rick Perry, and those that were tired of Rick Perry didn't want somebody from Washington to help them out. So they went with, some of those people went with Deborah Medina, I think. I do think it's interesting. It would have been interesting to see how the numbers fell if Medina hadn't been in the race. Whether Perry would have gotten 65 points, whether the anti-Perry vote was all in Hutchison and Medina, or whether the conservative vote was split. It's hard to tell,